Good evening, Simon here, Explosive Action. I am back with the CD update. Got a pile to get through, so let's get into it. In the background, we're listening to the new one by Flatus. I think it's Flatus, could be Flatus. As Flat as Attack? No, I don't think so. I think it's Flatus, but that's not as funny as the album title, which is Thwomp, with an exclamation mark. Thwomp. And as you can tell by this image here, yes, this West Australian death grind band plays some Carcass worship. Of course, they love the old Carcass. You can hear it in the background. That's sort of the melodic style. This is all over the map. This is a mix of sounds through the entire Carcass discography. It goes from the reek, filth, and the symphony's grind, necroticism, bit of necroticism there. Goes into the heartwork territory, all that kind of stuff. But then they've got synth, and then there's whole passages that are just black metal. So there's more than it says on the tin here with this Carcass worship band. There's definitely a lot more than that going on. Look at this layout. It's fantastic. Digi sleeve thing. Obviously looks like, you know, Symphonies of Sickness. And I mean, it's even got a cover of Mass of Infected Virulency, of course. But this is the first time I've ever seen a CD coming in an envelope. This was in the envelope. That's outstanding. That's how it was mailed to me. Limited edition, 69 of 200. 69, dude. I think that's fantastic. It's a good, fun album. It's Carcass stuff with a little bit extra. Good stuff. Geez, that's a really big pile. I think we might just take some off the top, shall we? I was always going to do that. We're going to have half now. We're going to do half probably early June. So let's get into the first one here. And we have... I was so happy to finally pick this up. I'll say it now because a few of these are going to come up today and in the next one. Maggot Stomp CDs are not easy to get. Distribution, not that great. He seems to just want to sell them direct. And then months and months and months later, a handful of copies might trickle out of Europe. And that's where I finally got some of these. Inoculation, Celestial Putridity. I've been after this one for a long time. The demo tape, which I had, was really promising. I wanted to hear more from them. This is the debut album, 2021. Ex-members of Abraded in this band. Ancient alien-themed death metal. You can sort of see there that almost bloody incantation-y style cover art. This continues the sound that they had on the Chasm of Eons four-way split, which had otherworldly bands of similar style. Cryptic Shift, Replicant, and Astral Tomb made up the other three bands on that. But this is their debut album, as I said. It's more on the Nucleus side of the, you know, extraterrestrial realms of spacey death metal. It's more on that Nucleus side than the Blood Incantation side. A little bit techy, very modern sounding, well produced. Has lots of time changes and things, a bit like sort of later era Deeds of Flesh. You know, they got kind of spacey. The vocals go between growls, sort of like Anata was the first thing I thought of, and dare I say it, at times, deathcore rasps. Don't shoot me, but that's exactly what I was hearing. It goes from those styles, those switch ups. It works really well. There's plenty of groove breaks and opportunities to windmill in this. Lots of great technical leads. The bass guitar has lots of noodling. It's quite a, you know, it's a little bit more advanced than you might expect from a Maggot Stomp band, that's for sure. Great artwork here. Really like this. That's what really got me into like the mindset of I have to get this album, because I saw the cover artwork and I just had to get it. I knew the music would be good. The cover artwork was great. It's done by a guy called Lucas Court. He did the latest Molder and the latest Malignant Altar covers. So yeah, he does really good stuff. He also did Question. There's a band called Question, really good band. Reflection of the Void. That one, I think you can see the closest similarities to this thing. So yeah, really solid stuff. Take a quick look inside. There's the CD. There's the band. So yeah, good fun. Finally happy to have this debut album from Inoculation. just like the running joke of my vinyl updates has been, there's another if and ack every single time I do an update. It's been pretty often lately that every time I do a CD update, there's been another Pharmacist CD. They just keep churning them out, but this one's quite special. This is the full length. This is, I think it's actually their second full length amongst this ocean of EPs and splits. Finally have another full length. These guys, Pharmacists, change who they emulate quite often on their releases. They obviously never stray too far from Carcass, like Flatus in the background. The first album looked like Pathologist, but sounded like Symphonies of Sickness, right? This has more of a necroticism leading into Heartwork style. It's more death metal, even a little bit into the melodic stuff. It's still filthy and nasty, you know. It's look at the thing, of course it is, but they are focusing more on the melody. It does have the dual Jeff Bill style vocals, but that extra melody this time is coming from Andrew Lee, who's guesting on guitar solos. There's some amazing leads. Andrew Lee's fantastic, so it's really good to have him on this. There's a bit more at times. See what I mean? Flatus are just throwing the black metal into the middle of it. Anyway, enough Flatus. Back to Pathologist. Pharmacist, not Pathologist. See? Look, Pharmacist, Pathologist. I get them confused. I mean, it's intentional. Pharmacist. There's even some sort of like dark, dissonant moments on this thing, which is not at all Carcass, not at all what you'd expect. It's overall more death metal than grindcore this time for sure. The songs are much longer. They're like 7 and 8 minute length songs. A lot more variation in them, of course, because they're that long. It's a good sign of the progression of this band. They're starting to sound like Pharmacist. They're starting to find their own way where I can stop saying Carcass worship, Pathologist worship, whatever. They are starting to find their own sound. It really does help having those guests of Andrew Lee doing the lead guitar. It really has improved some of the musicality of this thing. They're just finding their own way, and it's really good. I mean, the third track on here is called Necromorph. That's got a full prog middle sequence, which prog? Carcass gore grind? No, not what you'd expect, but it's really good. So yeah, really happy with this one. There's the inside. So yeah, they're officially a two-piece out of Japan. One member was from Ukraine and emigrated to Japan, I believe. And yeah, with some guest spots there. So really, really cool. New one from Pharmacist. Flourishing extremities of unspoiled mental grounds. You can progress the sound, but you can still have a Carcass album title. Next one, very excited to get this one in. It's the new one from Corpsest. Awesome. Succumb to Rot is the title of this one. Third full length. Their last one was out in 2018. Thick occult death metal out of Finland. So good. One of the new boys out of Finland, like Crypts, in that same kind of new wave of Finnish death metal. Really, really good stuff. Creeping and crawling, and I love using those terms, but that's the riffs on these things. Creeping and crawling in the mid-pace, sporadic blasts. The fourth track, Spiritual Malevolence. That's a prime example of what I mean by a crawling riff. You can just sort of, like the fingers just crawling along. Listen to it. I think you might understand what I'm talking about when I say creeping and crawling riffs. What I like on this is the band really love their double kick barrages. It's a moment doesn't go by when there's double kicks. It's like Morbid Angel domination. Like it's just double kick central the entire time. That's what you get here. That always makes me very, very happy. But there is plenty of moments when the band does slow down. Getting that Finnish death doom sound going there, real chunky. The drums remind me of their forefathers, like old Demigod, old Amorphous. When they slow down, they really get into that territory. But in that mid-pace, they do fit more with Crypts. It is a mixing of the old and the new there, definitely. There was a review that I read for this one that said, listening to it was like being buried in the bowels of the earth. That is a great description of this album. If that's not succumbing to rot, then I don't know what is. Take a quick look inside. Digipack. Not a big fan of Digipacks, but, it does let you do things like this. There's a booklet in here somewhere. Yeah, booklet. Haven't really been getting these things out. Yeah, just lyrics and stuff, whatever, it's a booklet. Yeah, there we go. Cool cover art. The vocals on this thing, yeah, really booming. Sometimes alternating with a evil sounding vocal like Lucifer. Nice mix there. You know, it's just another quality album from these modern Finnish death metal guys on Dark Descent Records. Dark Descent always putting out good stuff. I've said it before, I said it years ago, if Dark Descent offered a subscription service, they just mail you the new CDs, I'd probably take them up on it because it's always gold. Corpsest, Succumb to Rot. Next up we have the latest from Justin Stubbs' flagship death metal band. This is the new Father Befouled. Oh wow. Father Befouled, crowned in Veneficum? We'll go with that. Crowned in Veneficum by Father Befouled. This is their 5th full-length, coming off 2017's Desolate Gods. That was a stonking album. Absolutely, like, the band gets better and better with each album, that's for sure. Which means that this one is clearly their best one yet. They can really do no wrong. They just get better and better. What they do on this is what Incantation didn't do for me on their last album, Sect of Vile Divinities. This holds my interest. That album really kind of didn't. It was fine, but you'd expect more. This holds my interest. I mean, that's a little bit mean, but that last Incantation wasn't a highlight for the band, for sure. New Blood, doing similar style. This is really nailing it, absolutely, in that dark death metal sound. I mean, that thing was a bit too overproduced and the songs were all flat. This has a real nice, organic, thick and crunchy sound that I'm just totally in love with. It's really, really good. This is definitely a high point for this band. Even got a little bit of dissonant Portal at times, a little bit where it just gets so utterly crazy. It's like Portal, just a little bit. Stubbs' vocals on this, depths of hell. If you've heard his Encoffination band, it's very similar here again. Very, very similar to that Funeral Doom stuff. Just down in the pit. It is really good. And that last song on here, Utter Abomination, which is a great name for the final song on a death metal album, is a slow, swampy dirge. You could nearly interchange it with Encoffination. It's approaching that slow speed. So good. But I can't do this justice. What you need to do is go check out Ben BRAINSMASHER's video. He did a whole video just on this album. Links in the description, go check it out. And then go buy this thing, Father Befouled, crowned in Veneficum. It'll be on end of year list for sure. God damn, this is down-tuned nastiness. Holy shit. Disembodiment, Mutated Chaos. This is nasty. God damn. This is like a parallel. This is how I tried to explain this to myself. This is like Sangua Sugarbog's demo mixed with Mortiferum. That is the sound you get out of Disembodiment. It is thick and heavy and just goddamn death metal. That's what this is. They're on Everlasting Spew, Italian label, but this feels like a maggot stomp band that's signed to Dark Descent Records. That's what this sounds like. And thinking about it, maybe that is what kind of Everlasting Spew has got. Thinking about it. Maybe. Bands like Burial? I guess it's possible. Anyway, whatever. This is some awesome stuff. Dark sounding death metal out of Canada. Without that usual Canadian weirdness. It doesn't have that. It's way more straight up. Plenty of dive bombs and like crawling speed double kick. Just what you can hear now in the background. Slower. And lots of that. So good. It's a 6-track EP. It only runs for 15 minutes. And the cover art's it's pretty bland. And there's tape on Caligari if you prefer tapes. But this thing is just a stonking EP. I am very much looking forward to seeing what a full length from this guy's sounds like. There's the band, 4-piece. Very nice. There's a purple coloured 10-inch also on Everlasting Spew, which would be nice. But the CD EP is fine. It's good. All members are in another band that I've never heard of called Oath Division 666. It's a bit of a silly name, but I don't know, I'll go check them out because every single one of them is in that band, so could be good. I can say that this Disembodiment sounds like a steamroller is probably the best way to put this. It just rolls through, punishing death metal. Like I said, I'm looking forward to a full length. It's about all I can say about it. Quality stuff. Disembodiment, Mutated Chaos. Next one we've got here is Suppression, the Sorrow of Soul Through Flesh. Great title, great art. This opens instantly with a fast trem riff into some very 90s sounding blasting. Some hints, to my ears, of something like Gallery of Suicide, Cannibal Corpse in the composition, just in this starting part, and then it kicks in with the Van Drunen vocals. The bass guitar starts playing around something like Individual Thought Patterns Era Death. This is a pretty intricate, thrashy death metal, early Pestilence kind of thing. Really, really good. Early Pestilence mixing with everything I just explained before is this Suppression album. It is very, very fun. It changes direction on a dime, which is what keeps this really interesting. I guess that's sort of the parts that they get from the later era Death. Like, it's just quite... Technical is not the right word. They just keep it very interesting. They don't stay in the one place for very long. They just keep changing it up. Yeah, oh, it's so good. Good opportunities for some very tasty leads as well. It's mostly pretty fast without going breakneck because it is rooted in death thrash, not death grind. So it's a nice solid windmill kind of experience, like headbanging and windmills. Not this kind of blasting at all. That doesn't happen. The fifth track on this one, Unwinding Harmonies. Oh, piece of broken disc there on the back, I hadn't noticed. Unwinding Harmonies. That's a pretty crazy instrumental. It's very appropriately named. A harmony that's unwinding. Really, really cool to have an instrumental like that on a death thrash album. And just saying, like, oh, it's just a death thrash album. It really doesn't do it justice. It's quite a well-made thing. Whenever I say it's like black thrash, death thrash, it makes me usually think of like bullet belts and just rip it out and just do it dirty. It's not what's going on here with Suppression, not at all. They suppress that. I'm really sorry. This band's out of Chile. And yeah, this is their debut full length. They've done a few demos. I got one of them, which is really good. Which is what made me very excited to pick this up. It's out on Unspeakable Acts, which is sort of related to Dark Descent. I don't think it's a sub-label. I just think they're friends or something. But anyway, Unspeakable Acts is the perfect label for a band like this. They love doing the death thrash stuff. So yeah, Suppression, the Sorrow of Soul Through Flesh. Highly recommended. Next up is the new one from, very excited about this one, Cosmic Putrefaction. So if I get this right, Crepuscular Dirge for the Blessed Ones. Crepuscular? It's got to be a word, but anyway, Crepuscular Dirge for the Blessed Ones. Yeah, this is awesome. Third full length from this guy. It's a one-man band, led by Gabriel Gramagilla. Gabriel Gramagilla. Oh, I'm terrible. Out of Italy. So there you go. Otherworldly, cataclysmic death metal is what you get with Cosmic Putrefaction. Best comparison is band like Cathelist. How deep, dark, and twisted this thing sounds, and it really does. Outstanding performance on this thing. Some of the frequent change-ups remind me a bit of Blood Incantation, but I think Cathelist is a better example of what this one-man band sounds like. So good. And of course, this style harkens back to old Time Ghoul. That's where a lot of this stuff is influenced from. So much of that here too. Fantastic use of ominous, spacey sounding synth. It's just layered in there. Some like strings as well, choirs, a little bit of electronics, the sound of cosmic storms. Like, it's just a big musical adventure, this thing, and it's dark. The whole thing is just dark. What I like is that Gabriel's vocals are pushed quite back in the mix. It's not a shouty thing at all. His vocals are quite subdued, letting the music really just take the lead on it. It's so good. He delivers sort of a mostly deep growl with additional sort of black metal rasps, but yeah, buried a bit in the mix, not too far back, just enough back. The whole thing sort of stays around the mid-pace. A little bit look inside here, the old digipack. There we go. Nice bit of art there, all kind of thanks list and stuff. There's the back, out on Profound Law. The drums do get blasty sometimes, but really they have like a crushing sound and a heavy bottom end when it gets a bit into the mid pace and the slower pace. It is mainly that speed. Occasionally it does get faster and a little bit less doomy, but a lot of the time it does almost approach disembowelment in the speeds that it gets to. It's all over the spectrum, this thing. It's so interesting. Listened to it about 3 times through so far. Keep finding new things, which is a good sign for an album that's just going to keep being returned to your rotation if you just keep finding new things in it. It's also a good sign for something that's going to end up on the end of year list. I'm going to be pretty sure about that at this point. The 5th track on this one, which is called Lysergic Sulfuric Waters. Goddamn death metal, their names. It's the clear highlight for me on this. It's got a constant return to this core riff. Like, it goes on these little journeys, but keeps coming back to this main bass riff. It really grounds it. It sounds very, very good. Makes it more of a traditional song in that way, that it keeps coming back to this one riff. Very, very well done. I really like that one. But then we get some sort of like a little bit less experimental, but sort of Portal level craziness in that, you know, Cthulhu kind of darkness. It's such a good album. The final track on this one, which is the title track, I'll try it again, Crepuscular Dirge for the Blessed Ones. Anyway, the vocals are even further back in the mix on that one, and really just letting that music fly through. Not sure if that was intentional or if it just happened that way in the mix, but man, such a good album. It is superior to the 2 that preceded it, which were really good albums. The first one was a great album. It had some production issues for me on it, but then the second album followed up was fantastic. This one, trifecta, we're home run. The 3rd time's the try. It's outstanding. Definitely going to be on my end of year list at this point, absolutely. I'm sure it'll be on many others as well. Cosmic Putrefaction. Definitely check them out. Next one was a nice surprise. I didn't even know this was coming out. Then I saw it was coming out with not very much notice, so very excited about this one. This is a split between Ritual Necromancy and Fossilization. Ritual Necromancy is a band that I had actually nearly forgotten about. Their last album was 2018, and it was great, but I've actually forgotten to keep going back to it, which is stupid of me. But Fossilization, anyway, we'll get to them in a second. On the surface, this is a short 3-song split, but these 3 songs go for longer than Rain and Blood. This is a long EP. Totally unexpected in the lengths here. Ritual Necromancy, they play in a style in the depths with Dead Congregation, Cruciamentium, bands like that, and of course Incantation. But on this split, they bring 1 song. It goes for 15 minutes long, and it is crushing. It is a friggin' dirge. It's entitled Enter the Depths. You can just picture someone entering the depths of hell with this song. It is a monstrous thing. Goddamn punishing sound. It's almost tiring in how punishing this thing is. In a good way, not tiresome, tiring. You think of Incantation at their slowest. That's what Ritual Necromancy start off doing on that song. It would be pretty difficult to get more slow and crushing sounding without becoming Funeral Doom. It's just riding on that line there. But then about a third of the way into the song, it doubles speed instantly into more of a traditional headbanging sounding sort of death metal thing. And it sort of remains in that sort of immolation era, like that. It feels immolation-y for that middle part, which is really, really cool. Then it goes into an evil blast fest, and it's like Lucifer. So good. And then it reverses gears and goes back to that emulation style. Throws some dive bombs all over the place. I love myself some dive bombs. Demonic screaming, and then it fades out. And then I played that track again before I moved on to the Fossilization stuff because it was so good. Obviously they know it's good because they put 1 track onto a split. Cracking thing. Like I said, it's the first time we've heard anything from this band since 2018. Disinterred Horror was the album that they put out. Hope that they have another album soon because that's fantastic. On the other band, Fossilization. They're out of Brazil. They blew the doors off last year, it's fair to say, with their EP, He Whose Name Was Long Forgotten. Everybody was talking about that one, with good reason, because it's a fantastic EP. On this split, they bring 2 tracks, Exalted in the Altar of Insignificance and With Blood and Feathers. About 6.5 minutes long each, those songs. They have more speed to them than Ritual Necromancy, but they have the same punishing thick sound, so it's actually quite a good coupling of bands here. The first track, Exalted in Altar of Insignificance, is manic. It is completely manic until about the halfway point. It stops, does a pinch harmonic. I took a literal breath. It was sort of like, get my breath back, realised I was halfway through the song, and then it moved on to a sluggish, dissonant midsection with lots of rolling toms, and that's something I love hearing in death metal, is when they break out the toms. It's not just, it's not just foot snare, they just break out and get really quite creative with the toms. Love that little breakout in the middle there, so interesting. And then the second song, With Blood and Feathers, it crawls, is slower, has more of that dirge sound again, a little bit like Ritual Necromancy had at the start. The whole thing is such a great little EP. As I said, it's like 29 minutes long. It's longer than Rain and Blood. It's so good. Another one on Everlasting Spew. Take a look, center that so you can get a better look at it. There's CD, 2 bands there, Ritual Necromancy and Fossilization on Everlasting Spew. Love that artwork too. Really, 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 really good artwork. Not too sure who did that artwork actually. Should have noted it down, but it's really nice. I would wear that on a shirt. Absolutely. Ritual Necromancy, Fossilization split. Fantastic stuff from both bands. And the last one here for part 1 of this CD update. This is something I was after for ages. It was a hole in the collection. I finally filled it, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have done so. This is Deeds of Flesh, Reduced to Ashes. One of the band's best albums, and it was the hardest for me to find. Not sure what the go is with these things. Deeds of Flesh stuff, particularly not so much the first one or the last few, but some of those middle era ones, they're not in press, and they're very challenging to find secondhand. They're not instantly available, is what I mean. But Reduced to Ashes was a true pain. This thing never came up. It just simply never came up. Certainly didn't come up in this country. Came out on Unique Leader in 2003 as the back. Discogs says there's a handful of copies, a handful of reissues of the thing, but all around 2003, so not sure what the go is there, but I kind of got the shits and put a post on a Facebook group, a local Australian one, just said, I will pay this amount for this CD. Someone messaged me and I got it. I should do that more often. It wasn't an extortion amount. I asked for $40. $40, I said. I'll give you $40 and I'll buy the CD. In Australian, that's like, I don't know, 28 US? Not an extortionate amount at all. And I got it. Yay for me. Anyway, enough about that. This is when the band was absolutely firing on all cylinders. Now, I know some people don't like their last 3 albums too much. They did change a little bit. But on here, it is just pure, tight, technical death metal. It's almost boring to describe it. It's that direct. There's no flair. It is just tight, technical death metal, and it is completely amazing. I love this album. I used to play it digitally quite a lot. Now I don't have to. I've got the CD. Fantastic. Tight drums. Got a nice quality ping on that thing. The double kicks, they rarely go below 200 beats per minute. They're just smashing the whole time. Brutal and technical perfection. It really is. This is the band. We're at a high point here. But like I said, no weird frills. It's just death metal, and it's so good. Deeds have always had this unique riff style. They love doing these sort of spider walk progressions while the snare does a rat-a-tat-a-tat-a-tat-a-tat. Rat-a-tat-a-tat-a-tat. My simulation's terrible, but I think you might know what I'm talking about. This is Deeds of Flesh. This band even toured this album in Australia at the Bloodlust Festival in 2004. I don't know where the hell I was. I didn't even I worked that out when I was doing some research on the thing, but I wasn't there. For the life of me, do not remember going. I know I went to the Incantation one, which I think was the year before. I don't know, didn't make it to that. And this is, I think, the only time the band have been to Australia. Correct me if I'm wrong, Australians, but I'm pretty sure Deeds have only been here that one time. So that's a shame. But yeah, anyway, this is, like I said, before they went all spacey and otherworldly around about 2008 on the Of What's to Come album, which I love. I absolutely love that album, but I know some people don't like from there onwards. They find it a bit too technical for its own good and a bit weird. Doesn't matter if you're not a fan of that stuff. This is the Deeds for you. It is, I'd almost say this is the one to try for the first time. Deeds of Flesh, Reduced to Ashes. And that's it. That's the CDs I'm going to go through this time. Next time, we'll go through that bunch, which should be in a couple of weeks, I think, at this point. So do look out for it. In the background, we were listening to Flatus with Thwomp. Such a great title. Unfortunately, as you can hear, it has finished. But that's fine, because so am I. If you did like this, please do like, subscribe, check out that guy, and I'll see you next time.